Greetings and salutations, chat. How are you feeling today, this nice evening in 2014? Or was it 16? It's been so long, V. I genuinely forget. Where was Gamergate again?
Let me check the time. Oh, it's Gamergate o'clock time again.
I guess they're unironically running out of shit to blame us for. We must not have been doing a very good job recently.
I wonder if there's going to be a Bud Light thing in the 20 years from now. It's like, remember Bud Light?
Remember the
Sorry,
Bud Light boycott? Oh.
Yes.
I don't think so. Like, I think unironically the reason why we keep going back to Gamergate is because we did lose that battle, because we had no idea what we were fighting. And so it's their victory, and so they can kind of harken back to it, like, oh, that time when not only were we given... Because that's the thing, too. Back then, people genuinely believed that, like, Zoe Quinn, Anita Sarkeesian, etc., that they were actual, like, victims of harassment. That wasn't just the narrative, that was what was being spewed on national media. It was what normal people believed, because when they heard about this the first time, it was woman abused by gamers. And most people were like, well, I mean, I don't know anything about it, but she's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, I never believed it because she never showed any harassment. Neither her nor Anita. Anita actually did show some harassment, which was very bizarre. Like, she screen capped it 1 second after it happened with someone wanting to drink the blood from her vagina or some bizarre stuff like that. That, like, because, you know, like, normal people don't say that on the internet. They would, like, insult your mother or, you know, call you a slur. But, like, they wouldn't be so graphic and descriptive in their emotional role play. So anyway, she shows that. And even that harassment, like, it didn't link to any gamer or anyone from the movement Gamergate, but the media treated it as such. Like, they treated it as if that message was representative of the entire gaming community.
Yes, I too remember that message, because it was rather famous, because not only did she screen cap it like 6 seconds after it had been sent, which is good job, you know, that's quick. Like, hell, I don't even know if I can screen cap something quite that quickly. Just to reach over to the keyboard and get the screen capping tool. But it was also made by an egg account, because back then, a brand new account on Twitter had a little egg symbol on it as well. And it appeared to be the only instance of this, too. So yeah, it was only mildly suspicious.
I gave you the link to the whole thing. It's not only that, it's captured from an account which is not even signed in. So, like, we are led to believe that she was logged off and she came across this egg account that was just tweeting at her within 12 seconds and she'd screen capped it. So it's clearly fake. Like, there is no way, like, even a charitable person would not look at this and find any way, like, how she could have possibly managed to pull this off if it was legit.
There was also the whole Zoe Quinn thing, where she claimed that she had had to flee her house because of threats, and that turns out to also have been complete bullshit, as she had literally left on a vacation she had booked weeks in advance, etc.
Brianna Wu, which also left her house, and people found out that when she was giving interviews, the wall behind her was the one from her room, which she showed previous pictures of it before the whole event.
Yes, there was a lot of sus behavior back then, but again, nobody knew what this stuff was at all. Like, I remember Jim Sterling, or Stephanie Sterling, as he is now called. She, he, it, I don't even know the pronouns anymore. He made a video talking about how he was convinced that Anita Sarkeesian would have made her series of videos and then just disappeared if people hadn't reacted to it. And even back then I thought to myself, that doesn't sound right. Considering the amount of sponsors she's had, and the force behind the accusations. Like, this is a woman who went on national media that was interviewed by pretty much every platform on the face of the earth. And of course, because back then, we had no idea what this was. We had no understanding. I still remember making videos going like, oh, let me just try to explain to you why 40k isn't sexist. As if that somehow mattered. I remember Sargon made entire video essays like trying to be like, if I could just talk to Anita, I'm sure I could make her understand.
Yeah, Anita, this is why you shouldn't get donations of millions of dollars. Let me tell you why you're doing it wrong, you know. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, but the thing is, like, another misconception was that if you stop talking about her, she will go away, which is like, okay, so if I stop talking about her, will the Guardian stop talking about her? Will the BBC stop talking about her? Yeah, like, which one do you think makes her more famous?
Yes. Like, we unironically had no understanding of what was happening at all. Like, because today we can look back at Jim Sterling's argument and go, Jim, do you think you're such a big deal that you decide what is and isn't popular? Do you think that a bunch of new YouTubers with, at that time, like, our combined total of subscribers was maybe like 1 million total, will be able to override the entirety of the mainstream media apparatus, etc.?
Yeah. No, it's interesting how you can disprove all of this because she went out of fame the moment her connection dropped, and I think like her connection was a man. I forgot his name. Um, John McIntosh or something like that.
The dude who was like patriarchy, lightning, boom.
Yeah. I think he was the one which was giving her the connections because the moment they had a little sparring out and then he left her, the media stopped writing articles about her. She just dropped from the face of the earth. And I think she's still making content now, but she's basically getting less than like 3,000 views. Like it's really just depressing to watch.
I believe she is. Like, she had another Kickstarter thing not that long ago. Because she's now on our side, quote unquote, claiming that all of the measures instituted, in large parts due to her requests, simply didn't work and it only made things worse. Which I do think is mildly funny.
I wouldn't call her on our side, but
Of
like
course,
she
I'm
still
being
is.
facetious.
Yes. She's still trying to be relevant, I guess.
Yes.
Would you invite her and have a conversation with her if she wanted to?
Oh, God. Like, first and foremost, that would never happen in a million years. And secondly, I don't think so. Like, because what would, I mean, it would be sort of interesting to try and, like, assuming she knew nothing about me, it would be interesting to try and get her point of view of why she did what she did and her motivations, if perchance you would get an honest answer, which I'd be surprised.
It would be an interesting. I mean, you would probably have the biggest viewership you ever had in your career if you managed to do it. But
I don't know about that. Let me show you real quick. Feminist Frequency's current YouTube.
oh, I know
account.
she doesn't have viewers. Yeah, but like people would be interested in the interview.
Possibly.
Like people who, yeah.
I think she's a dead name at this point because she's got 214,000 subscribers, which is pretty good. But she's get 1,000 views, 700 views, 1.4 thousand views, 900 views. Like, this isn't merely a dead channel. Like, this is a ghost that's been beaten and then resurrected again at this point.
Yes.
I mean, she's still gaining like $2,000 on Patreon, so it's not nothing. But compared to the heydays, far has feminist frequency fallen.
Well, it's also the fact that people don't really care about feminism anymore. I
Yes.
mean, when's the last time you heard the patriarchy being mentioned? Or, I mean, even in the Rolling Stones article, they don't say cisgender straight white men.
No,
They just say, yeah.
The wording is actually very interesting. So let me read the first paragraph. Another day, another multi-billion-dollar corporate giant in the crosshairs of the anti-woke right. Like, just... Okay, let me finish actually first, and then we'll go, because this time it's Activision Blizzard, the fifth largest video game firm in the world, that aggrieved reactionaries are threatening to boycott. Like, that sentence, that paragraph, is so heavily laden in what we would today unironically refer to as Marxist verbiage, like reactionaries, the anti-woke right. The fact that it's looking at a multi-billion-dollar corporation and going, oh, well, the poor corporation, what can we do to protect the poor corporation? It's being unfairly molested.
It is very interesting because reactionary is a communist insult. Like,
Yes.
communists use reactionary, right? There's nothing wrong with being reactionary, by the way. Like for example, if society wanted to progress and decide that the age of consent is no longer needed, like Engels wanted, or Foucault, then it would be normal and healthy to be reactionary to that. But communists view it as a problem, right? So seeing the Rolling Stone use the word reactionary is very interesting. But what's even more interesting is seeing them defending a multi-billion-dollar international corporation,
Yes.
while they're LARPing as revolutionaries. And there's also
Yes.
something interesting in the article. It's like, even if we were to assume that being reactionary is bad, the current orthodoxy is woke ideology. Like, you can't pretend that wokeness is revolutionary when every single corporation is championing it. As such, if you want to be progressive, you have to move away from the woke ideology.
Yeah, like, this one paragraph just tells you so much about the current year. So the thing that needs to be defended is the multi-billion-dollar company. The fifth largest video game firm in the world is promoting your ideology.
I think it's the fourth, actually.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like Blizzard is actually a juggernaut. It's really high up there. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's like they're defending the multi-billion-dollar corporation from criticism online.
Yep. And again, reactionary. I just want to stress as well, reactionary is an exclusively communist insult. Like, no other group of people on Earth use this as a pejorative.
I'm actually trying to think, and you're right. Yeah. It is true.
And of course, this is over the phase nickmercs thing. As with so many of these stories, inciting controversy is ridiculously minor. Is it though? Like, it's the fifth largest company in the world. Yeah, no.
They're kind of right, because what nickmercs said wasn't controversial. He said kids should be left alone, right?
Yes.
And Activision should have just leave it at that. Like, I looked at the Wayback Machine. Almost no one complained on his Twitter either. Like, 90% of people were in agreement with him, right? So it is a minor thing that Activision and Blizzard decided, oh yes, well, we're going to go against them. And it is not only that, like, they didn't even say what he said wrong, because, like, they were ashamed themselves about having to punish him. And they said, oh, we're celebrating Pride, so we're going to punish nickmercs. And the internet calls that a self-report at this point.
Yeah, that was straight up. Like, that was what caused most of the controversy, was amongst others Tim Pool, who of course has enormous social media reach, basically pointing out that this is Call of Duty coming out officially and publicly in support of LGBTQ ideology in schools. Like, they are now literally pro-grooming.
And I think it was about middle schoolers, right? Like, it wasn't about teenagers, or, it's the type of age that you shouldn't even discuss sexuality with.
Yep. And there was I don't think I can actually show this on YouTube because it's graphic, but there was a recording that came out during a parent-teacher meeting at this school. One of the kids read a page from one of the books that they had been shown. And literally, it's stuff like I reached into his drawer to find a condom. He laughed at how inexperienced I was at taking off his belt. That kind of shit. You're like, holy... This is in schools for kids.
Like, imagine if it was about straight sex, right? Like, sexual education, which is interesting, because I never had sexual education in my school, and yet I knew how to fuck. By some magic. I don't know how it works, right? Like, you don't go to school, you don't learn about it, and yet you somehow manage to do it. Can you imagine that? But anyway, right, so imagine it was straight sex, and the girl would be like, oh, he reached inside the drawer and found the condom, and haha, he was so inexperienced, didn't know how to pull my bra off. Do you not think parents would be upset? Like, would it not be the same shit?
I think so.
Yes, it is interesting that this is the hill they're willing to die on, as Twitter likes to say.
Absolutely.
And,
That is
and it's
also
getting
the
to the point where if you disagree with this, you're not a leftist.
oh yeah.
Like you can agree on economic policies, you can agree on immigration, you can agree on political correctness, you can agree on everything. It's just like you draw the line at this, and then you're not a real leftist.
Well, it's also their own definition. Like, on first glance, this wave of indignation over a company's nominal endorsement of Pride, it's only in their games, it's only in their DLC, it's only on their guns, it's only on their Twitter, it's only on their page, etc. Nominal endorsement. If there's an obvious difference, is that a violent video game glorifying war has stretched the reactionaries' already strained definition of wokeness to their absolute breaking point. Because they themselves know that the company's on their side, but as the LARPing revolutionary, they can't fully admit it. So they have to go like, oh, well, Call of Duty doesn't really represent us, don't you know? It's a violent video game. Like, they carry your flag. They paint themselves in your colors. They espouse your ideology at every turn. They write it in their bio. They write it on their Twitter. Literally, they do everything in their power, and then they sit there like, oh, they're not really on our side, though.
So there was, I remember very clearly, I think it was still Call of Duty. I may be wrong, but they had like a Kyrgyzstani lookalike flag in their game. It wasn't a Kyrgyzstani flag, but it looked close enough. And there was like a massive uproar on Twitter with the progressives, and they demanded that it's removed. And immediately the company removed it and apologized for it. So I just want to remind people what happens when it's the opposite side, like that they're just, having like this thing that may sort of like look, it's not even official, it's not even anything, but it may look like it's from a different ideology. Immediately they crack down on it, right? Mortal Kombat had Johnny Cage making the OK sign, and immediately they cracked down on it. And Rolling Stone didn't write articles then saying, oh, well, it's so ridiculous. Like, these people are upset about the OK side in Mortal Kombat. Oh, this is absolutely ridiculous. Reminds us of Gamergate. Nah.
Yep. And, of course, here's the thing, too. This doesn't stop there, obviously, as nickmercs is now one of those people. He was dropped from another huge Call of Duty contract, and apparently there are rumors that his other partners too are looking side-eyed at him, and of course his friend, Tim the Tatman, who also asked for his operator bundle to be removed, is also no longer on any of the, casting contracts and etc. Because this doesn't stop. Like, when you are a bad man, they will follow you to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that he did not apologize as well. Because a lot of people ask, it's like, well, why is it important to apologize? Because it doesn't do anything. It may have saved his other contracts, And I noticed that other streamers aren't joining in. Because at the end of the day, this is it. Like for me, it's not as much about LGBT issues, but it's like the society people want to live in. Where if you work at Elon Musk's company, you have to have Elon Musk's ideology. But then when you move over to Amazon, you have to get Jeff Bezos' ideology. Like, having corporations decide what you are and aren't allowed to say in your free time is an abhorrent way to live.
And it's, of course, extending as well. This will allow us to quite smoothly move on to another little thing. I take it you heard a bit about the Reddit kerfuffle that happened the last few days, where a lot of pages went dark for a bit, protesting the new changes to Reddit's API, where they can only use their official things.
It's still ongoing. It's not something that stopped.
Yep. So the Reddit CEO slams protest leaders, saying he'll change rules that favor landed gentry, as he wants to introduce the opportunity to essentially vote out moderators that do things like this. So if you're doing a protest, then they will get the users to try and oust the moderators.
It would be hilarious if they could do this all the time, right? Because there are okay, this is why socialism doesn't work. Like, unironically, you go to some Reddit mods and you have socialist oriented people. The moment they get a little bit of power, just like a tiny bit of power, they will not give it away. Like you can't pry that power they have from their cold dead hands. And it's the same with what happens with socialism. You have someone like Lenin gaining power, and then they don't want to, because the whole thing is like we seize the wealth and then we redistribute it. There is no redistribution. So my point is that these people, the Jannies that do it for free, absolutely despise the idea that democracy may exist and they may lose power.
Mm-hmm. It's also the fact that this also means now that the subreddits themselves have no actual authority. Because one of the parts of the original ideas of Reddit was that it would be a million little message boards basically hosted under a singular entity. So the pitch was, make whatever you want in your little space, and Reddit will just host it, like an internet within the internet. And now, of course, those subreddits are no longer that. They are now products. They are content. They are producing things for the website. In essence, Reddit has gone from, hey, come over here, do whatever, and have fun, to, no, peasants, you will continue to produce content for your overlords. No, you will not be paid for it.
Do you know how the Nazi death camps were operated, Arch? Because a lot of people know that they're evil, but they don't know how they were run. You don't learn that in school.
I imagine very haphazardly.
They have these things called capos in order to save money. The capos were chosen from the prisoners, and they were put in charge of maintaining order. So they were like both oppressed and oppressors at the same time, because they were still prisoners, right? But at the same time, they had more privileges than the other prisoners, and they could beat the other prisoners around. It's kind of like what a Reddit Janny is, he has to abide the terms of service of Reddit and enforce it upon his community. But he's not part of the Reddit team. He doesn't get paid. They do the Reddit's job on behalf of them so that they can save money.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it disgusting, the way the site is ran? Isn't it, very abhorrent?
And when those dirty, filthy peasants try to object, well, then very quickly the rules change to make it more restrictive and more difficult to be an uppity peasant.
Yeah, it's like a prisoner. It's like a prisoner revolt. The first thing they would do, they would go to the capo and be like, okay, well, do you not like your privileges? If you don't handle this revolt, if you don't make it go away, we're going to take away your privileges and we're going to nominate another prisoner as the capo.
Of course.
It's literally what they're doing. It's it's fascinating because the Jannies are the product. Reddit is telling them, get the product going. Keep making the product. Because for those of you who don't know what the subreddit is, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't because they don't use Reddit. It's kind of like if you go on Reddit now and you start your own community based on whatever, Warhammer 40k, and you start your own subreddit. Now, if it becomes big, the admins get interested. And if you don't do what they say, they will take your community away and give it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like fascism, if you think about it. You're allowed to have your business, but the moment it grows big, the government can step in and take it away from you if they so choose.
Obviously, this is also incredibly exploitable. Saying that, for example, you are a politically motivated Reddit, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Donald.
Yeah, somebody... the Donald already got eaten, but yes, technically. And say you don't like how another Reddit is doing things. Well, now you could potentially go on that Reddit, initiate a vote of no confidence, so to say, and literally yeet the moderators. If this goes through, you would have a possibility of hostile takeover of everybody else's Reddit if you can mobilize the sufficient numbers, or if you can simply mobilize a sufficient number of bots that can ape Reddit accounts.
I can guarantee to you they will not allow people to vote on Reddit moderators willy-nilly. And not only that, if they do it, it's probably going to get rigged. Because take into account who owns the source code. They're not, they're not going to call arbiters, international arbiters from other countries to supervise the vote. They're the ones counting the votes. So I'm pretty sure people will vote correctly every single time.
Yep. I imagine they'll just put it in as whenever somebody does a protest thing and locking their Reddit, then Reddit will go do you disagree with this decision? Vote here to yeet the entire moderating team.
Yeah, most likely.
It'll be like the Anschlussen of Austria. It's would you like to join Germany? A giant yes, and then down in a corner, no, maybe not.
And they're gaslighting, like no tomorrow. They're saying it's like, oh well, the community actually wants their subreddits back. It's the moderators are, and I generally don't believe that. You know, that like the moderator, what interest would they have in the third party APIs if the community themselves didn't give a fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you believe them? Because that's what they're saying. They're saying that the overwhelming amount of people don't care about the APIs.
I don't think so, no, because of course they're using this so you can't access it with anything with third-party services, so that they can track your ass better. Basically, they're saying become product. Like, and if you refuse to become product, well, we will force you to become product.
Yeah, it's one of the most evil companies on the internet, I would say. Second only to TikTok and Twitch. But like the reason TikTok is evil is because it's not just because you have people that say fringe extremist shit all the time there. Is that they don't allow you to criticize the people that say fringe extremist shit all the time. Like you get banned if you criticize them. Same with Twitch. At least Reddit is a little bit different, but it's not by much, which is why I would say it's the third worst company on the internet.
Indeed. Mark Ashamed says, so I have seen several couples of trans women with their non-binary partners, females. Peacock turkey theory is a thing. Well, maybe. Maleficus Shai Khan says, is Warhammer Vampire Blood Drinking always lethal? No, but it does always turn your ass into a vampire, which of course kills you first, so I suppose, yes, it is always lethal, but not necessarily in the permanent sense.
Is it like Space Marines that are vampires?
There are, sort of, but they aren't actual vampires. They just go crazy and start eating people because, they're a little weird in the head.
The Sanguinarius ones, or?
Sanguinarius? The Blood Angels, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, the Blood Angels do have that, the red thirst, which makes them go a little bit out of control. Occasionally. Frequently, frankly. Reddit. I hope Reddit will die. I really do. But what's worse is, if this goes through, though, and Reddit doesn't see a significant decline in user base, I would expect other companies to start thinking about the same thing. Like, I am genuinely surprised, for example, that YouTube has never made a concerted push to Yito Cheeto ad block.
They are trying, but it's like an arms race. Like, even if you were to try to get rid of ad block, the ad block itself would just upgrade itself to get away from your bypass options.
Well, they're trying a little bit, but they could always just go with the nuclear option and literally do like this. Like, okay, if we notice any sort of thing in between your computer and our site, we'll just block your ass.
Yeah, but then you have like other third parties and other things which would trigger the block.
Yep.
And then they would just lose viewers. By the way, I really disagree with the take that Reddit should die, and I'll tell you why. Right now, you have Kick, which is competing with Twitch, right? And anyone that used Kick, it was like a laid-back platform, the same way Twitch used to be like 6 years ago. And now you have all these VTubers and all of these Twitch streamers that are going on Kick. And the first thing they do is like, oh my god, I feel so unsafe here. Oh, I'm just doing ASMR and then someone came into my chat and called me a woman of low moral fiber. Oh, I'm in so much danger. Okay, how do you allow this? So they're basically like changing the TOS of Twitch, right? Like they're bringing their Twitch culture onto another place. I genuinely like do not understand this shit. Like you're leaving a platform, right? Because you don't like it, and you go to another platform, and you want to make the new platform like the old platform. Like fuck is wrong with you? Just mute and block the person. Jesus.
Well, there are some little interesting things. So you mentioned Kick, which I'll show chat right here. Kick is a up and coming, perhaps better say, streaming platform with a bit of a heavy emphasis at the moment on slots and gambling, which I'm not a huge fan of myself, but it is gaining quite a lot of steam. Now, to be fair, we've seen that before, haven't we? Like, oh, this thing seems to be doing well, and then it falls off almost immediately. But what is very interesting is they did manage to sign on a fairly large Twitch person, XQC. I've never heard of the guy, but then again,
He's the biggest guy on Twitch.
Okay, well, there you go.
He's got a contract bigger than LeBron James, which is the most highly paid NBA sports player.
Yep, $70 million deal to switch to Kick, the new platform. So there is clearly some economy behind this, and this is what I've always been talking about the evil spiral of this shit. Like, if you don't have the talent, you won't have the money, because you won't have the advertisers. And if you don't have the money, you won't get the talent. And if you don't have the talent, you don't get the people watching. So you either lack the money, the talent, or the viewership. And Kick at least seems to have the money, and they're beginning to mobilize some talent and viewership. I hope it's successful, and also because they had apparently said that if left-wing political commentators tried to move over to their platform, they would ban them. Because they don't want their platform to start getting infested by that shit.
Really?
Yes.
Will they ban right-wing political commentators too?
They haven't said.
Well, they are getting the VTubers, and again, like I'm seeing the VTwitters. Like a VTwitter is a person that literally has nothing better to do. Like, instead of improving your channel, why don't you just shut the fuck up and work on your content rather than complain what other people are doing on Twitter? And they're like, oh my god, it's Kick, it's so unsafe. Oh, that's just, the homophobia. Oh. So I wonder if like they're going to listen to that, because you gotta understand, like Twitch, no other place on the internet will cuddle you like Twitch does. Like, you can get banned for shit people say in your chat, Arch. You think YouTube is bad? Like, again, imagine that right now someone in your chat were to say something homophobic, and if you don't ban them personally, your channel gets nuked. That is Twitch.
That is Twitch.
That is Twitch. They don't allow you to complain about anyone else on the platform. So, like, for example, they don't allow you to show you someone that's banned off the platform. So this is something that Lauren Southern actually did. Like, she got banned from Twitch, and then all the breadtubers couldn't criticize her content anymore because she was a person banned from Twitch.
Oh, there you go.
Right, like, no, but what I'm saying is that the rules on Twitch are done almost by people who have mental issues or something. But like, imagine taking those and bringing them over to Kick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it remains to see if the platform manages to resist the calls to censor, like everybody else has been censored. And I mean, their numbers aren't bad. Like, they across the categories, they've got several thousand people watching the different categories. That's of course going to be over a lot of different people, mind you. But I certainly wouldn't mind seeing another competitor. I mean, Rumble is still doing all right. Its growth has stagnated somewhat, in large part, I do believe, due to its just awful user interface. Like, Rumble just hurts to use.
Do you want to stream on Twitch? Do you want to stream on Kick, Arch?
I will have to set up the goddamn, like, multi-stream thing at some point.
We should try next week to stream on Kick and see how it goes.
We should.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
I do like the idea of competition. It's just that we haven't actually.
And I think they let you keep like 90% of the super chats.
And if we manage to get other alternatives large enough, YouTube might even begin to slightly loosen their rules a little bit, which would be nice.
I don't know. I mean, Twitter is already enticing the people from the Daily Wire. I was actually surprised when you look at how much money Daily Wire is making. It's almost like the Walt Disney of the right wingers, pretty much. Like, they're making movies and stuff, and then they're having so many famous personalities. And they're getting community strike by YouTube. The CEO of Daily Wire said that they got over 100 community strikes over the transgender issues, almost exclusively.
Well, that's YouTube for you.
Right. So now they're talking with Elon Musk in order to, like Jordan Peterson was rambling on. It's like, oh, YouTube, you're on the wrong side of history. Oh, you'll see what we'll do. Blah, blah, blah. So on Monday, they're probably going to announce a deal with Elon Musk, which also has Tucker Carlson. So,
yep,
you may get your competitor to YouTube.
Unironically, I hope Elon, with his whole X platform thing, begins to move in that direction. Because I do believe that the tides have changed, unironically. Because there was something rather interesting that happened. You've heard about Final Fantasy XVI at all?
Nah, this is the first news of the night that I'm actually unaware of.
Alright, so Final Fantasy XVI is, a Final Fantasy game, obviously. And it seems to be heading in an unusual direction for the current year, in that it seems to be based very heavily on Western styles and aesthetics, but with the usual Japanese flavor. So, every sword is going to be 5 times the actual size and so on. But it's also, dare I say it, heteronormative.
Oh, it's got titties?
Yes, it's got women in it, and it's got women attracted to men in it as well.
Jesus Christ. Is that allowed?
I don't know, honestly. Like, I would have expected that to be illegal at this point, but...
Do you know that, like, and this is interesting. If you think about TV shows and video games that came out recently, you don't have heteronormative relationships in them.
Yeah, no, unironically.
Like no, because I was thinking about, like, when I first heard about it, I was laughing, but then I thought about it. And the only thing that I could think of is, like, Hell of a Boss. They have, like, that those two imps that are in an actual relationship. And I want to empathize, right? A healthy relationship between a man and a woman where they love each other and there's no plot twist, right? There's no cheating. There's no, like, the woman is better than the man. Like, they just love each other and they're together. And I couldn't think of any of that in any TV show that came out recently or video game. I'm sure there are. Like, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but it's so hard to come up with the name.
So, like, I'm trying to think, like, just a normal, straight relationship in a TV show.
Yeah, where they love each other, right? So they're not cheating on each other. It's not abusive. It's just, like, they actually happen to be in love. And, like, if anyone tries to tempt them, they will be like, no. Like, we love each other. There's no love triangle. There's no breaking up. There's just a wholesome relationship between a man and a woman.
I'm sure there are some, but I can't really.
There must be, yeah, like there must be, but I just can't think of any.
Huh. But
it
anyway,
is interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
The thing is, Final Fantasy seems to be heading in a good old-fashioned game direction. There was also the fact that it's not very diverse at all. In fact, it has apparently next to zero diversity because it takes place on a continent inspired by medieval Europe. And the production designer, or creative designer, whatever, had a very, very spicy take to give us. You see, a very spicy take. Naoki Yoshida addresses Final Fantasy XVI lack of diversity by saying, "We simply want to focus to be less on the outward appearance of our character and more on who they are as people."
It's interesting. Well, still, it's a Japanese company, so it's not that surprising. I would be surprised if Blizzard did it.
Well, Japan too has been heading in the wokest direction for a bit now, as they are a bit more downstream of culture than us. The recent passing of the LGBTQ protection bill, for example, trying to get additional legal protections for the gays, as is natural at this point, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But this was, of course, a big controversy last year. It's like, what do you mean focusing on the characters instead of their skin color? What do you mean? Is that a thing we do now? Well, apparently.
I mean, people are surprised, but I always said that Japan isn't resistant to this stuff. It's just like they take a while until it gets going, So like all the cultural trends in Japan, they usually follow the West like 5 or 6 years after. So.
Mm-hmm. They do have the benefit of our lessons, hopefully. And so the title here too. Here's why some Here's why some players plan to boycott Final Fantasy XVI. So this is Eurogamer, of course. They are woke as fuck, and they want to try and create some sort of backlash against this because it isn't diverse enough, right? And so we've got a big headline going like, oh my god, like we gotta vote with our wallet to prove to Final Fantasy that this isn't acceptable. It's a whole article about it, but if you go down here, at the time of writing, over 1,200 players, like over 1,200, oh my god, have responded to the poll, but just 2.9% have said that they intend to boycott the game.
Yeah, meanwhile, the real problem is the people boycotting Activision Blizzard.
Yes. Meanwhile, that's a big issue, like, oh my god, the far right is targeting these multi-billion-dollar corporations. How dare they? Did you see what they did to Target, that poor little brick-and-mortar shop?
Do you know that Dick the Burke is actually getting a lot of subs from this shit?
I would imagine. I mean, his name must have been on everybody, on all the commentators' lips these last few weeks.
Correct, yeah. It's interesting, like, you get, if you're anti-woke, you get more subs and followers, but you lose sponsorships.
Yep. But again, once the thing begins to turn around, that will also be a big deal, because you will not only be able to say, yeah, I was against the bad people, the people we have now defeated, but you will also be able to, hey, look at all my followers.
Mm. Will they stay, though, once they stop being edgy?
I think they will. I think we will, at some point, have to pivot more over to... How do I put it? Like, at some point, the war will be over. Or at least so I hope.
Yeah, but, like, they can win, you know?
They could win, yes. You know, that's the other thing, too. At some point, the war will be over, and we will have to adapt. You know, hopefully the war will be over at some point. Jesus. But, I mean, I imagine I would just do cultural commentary for quite some time, and then move over to doing more game stuff. And it will be a big, like, change, obviously. Or I'll simply move on to just doing historical stuff, for example. Like, there are other avenues available. Of course, some might not be able to adapt. Like, we've seen that with some of our previous Gamergaters, for example, many of which are no longer around.
Yeah.
But I also want to point out, though, that despite this, so this poll here proves quite clearly that, by and large, people are not on the Wookiee side anymore. Like, it's like, oh my god, would you please boycott Final Fantasy XVI? It's heteronormative. Like, 2% of people go like, yes, everyone else just goes, shut up. But you gotta remember also that they still have the levers of actual observable power. I don't know if you saw this one. I'll post it in the link there. But Creative Assembly, a tiny startup company from England, received loads of money from the British government recently.
It's interesting that they didn't give them tax cuts, right? Because usually, like, when the government wants to do something, they will... Like, when a government wants more of it, they give tax cuts. And when the government wants less of it, they tax. It's why they want more single mothers, because they give welfare for that, right? They encourage it. Yes. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, but it's the same here. It's like, why would they give them flat-out cash? When they're one of the richest companies in the world.
Here's the thing. This, in my opinion, is just a straight-up example of corruption. Because you bring up an excellent point. Why wouldn't they just give them tax cuts? Well, it's because this was a fund designed for startup and scale-up companies. Now, if you're a startup company, you don't care about tax cuts. You might not even be making a profit in the first place. But if the government were to give you £100,000, like, you're in the middle of making a game right now. If your government said, okay, here's £100,000, no strings attached, just here. How much would that help?
Oh my god, I mean, the entire scope of the game would expand. I would be able to hire more people, it would come out faster, we'll have much better systems in place.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it would definitely be better.
For a startup company, cash in hand is invaluable. For a Creative Assembly, hell, even if they were awarded all of it, £5 million, this is a company with hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. It's like, it's nothing for them. But it's PR for both sides. The British
You know what would
government
be-
gets to make a tweet saying like, "Oh, hey, we're helping the startup companies," and CA gets to be like, "Oh, we like the gays."
I'm curious, yeah. Like, what is in exchange for that contract? Like, do they have to promote woke issues? Because I would not be surprised if you read the contract and you will see that, oh, yeah, you like, for example, in the Oscars now, it just came out, you need to have like 30% minorities to even be considered.
I am 98% sure that's the case because the woman from Creative Assembly they interviewed in The Thing, it's a bit difficult to see here, but she's Emma Smith, Director of Talent and Social Impact at Creative Assembly.
Social impact.
It's also that Creative Assembly themselves, their entire profile is covered in rainbows, and they are working on a brand new video game with a here. I'll just show you. A picture is worth
I'm
1,000
afraid.
words.
I'm afraid to click. This is the company which made the Rome Total War, yes?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Now they're working on Total Mam.
What the fuck are we looking at, chat? What is this? What is this shit? This looks like it came from California, yeah.
Well, that's the question. Would you think that you'd be accused of a hate crime if you called her Miss or Mister?
See, despite the way the winds are blowing, I still think it's okay to misgender fictional characters.
You would think so.
I would think so, but then I remember the tragedy which happened on the Borderlands forums, where they had a non-binary character, which was a robot, and they started banning people who were misgendering it, because again, like fictional character, and you're not allowed to misgender it.
But it seems like CA has been heading deep in that direction, and a few $1 million of free money from the government. Well, that's a decent motivating factor, isn't it?
I mean, that's literally what the comic book industry was trying to do. So DC Comics, for those of you who don't know, it's like was selling a comic book, Superman versus the Klan. Now, this is actually a very famous comic, right? A lot of people know the history of it. But they decided to do a remake of it. And the remake was pretty much like, if you're against immigration, you're the Klan. Like, literally, straight up. And it was like a Chinese girl immigrant that was the hero. It wasn't even Superman. And when you look at the price, it was $9, right? And this was like before the inflation. And you're wondering, like, who the fuck buys a comic book for $9? And then you listen to the TED Talk of the person making the comic. And he was saying that he wants schools and he wants public libraries to buy the thing. Right, so the whole shtick is to bypass the customer whenever possible. So like convince the woke person in charge of the school to buy like 100 copies of your comic, and then you make money by not having to sell the product to the customers. And it's what Creative Assembly is doing. Like they're taking the money from the government, and then they don't give a fuck if they sell the game or not. Right, like they got the money, so now the game can be like the worst piece of shit game ever that no one plays, and they don't care because they still made the profit.
There's also the, let me see here. Let me read the couple of images. Keith Lane says, "Do you like fried chicken?" I mean, I don't hate it. I unironically don't see the hype. Like, I'll eat it, but it's not that special.
You don't like KFC?
No. Well, again, I don't hate it. I'll eat it, but I'm like, oh my god, KFC.
So you never wake up one day and you're like, God damn it, I want some fried chicken. I'm going to go to KFC.
I have unironically never experienced that urge. But then again, I think there's like one KFC in my entire nation.
So you think like it's a Norwegian thing, like you just don't like fried chicken?
It's a Norwegian thing. I don't know about that, but we don't have the same relationship with fast food as like the Americans do.
Oh, so like it's not just KFC, it's like other fast food chains that you guys don't have.
Oh yeah, like we have one Burger King in the nearby town. There's like a McDonald's in Oslo, and that's about it. Like we do not have that.
Wait, so like the whole nation, there's like one McDonald's and it's in the capital.
There's probably more, but I would guess there's probably only a dozen or so for the 5 million population. Like, they're rare. They're usually only in the major cities here. Like, we don't have McDonald's just randomly in places.
Is it like a pilgrimage thing? It's like, yes, I went to the Norwegian McDonald's. And you can chuck it up.
Unironically, yes. I remember when I was a kid, it was a super big deal to go to McDonald's. Because it's like a 2-hour drive to the capital where they had a rinky-dink little McDonald's.
Then it was the same here, but like I had one in my town, and then like as a kid, if you went and you had like your birthday celebration at McDonald's, it was a big thing.
Like that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, it was. They don't do that anymore, though. Yeah. But anyway, right? So like I'm still trying to compute this. Like one McDonald's, one nation. That's well.
But
do you think Sweden is the same?
Sweden has assloads of McDonald's all over the place.
So like they're normal.
Yes, normal, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I can't find the bloody cover. All right, let me read these two. Sandoom says, "Congrats, Arch, on beating Francois with a single grenade. Surprised that beast was French the whole time. Didn't even know what that when mentioning it. That's why he got killed so easily, because he was French." Sam Doom also says, "What's more horrifying, Francois or Red Abomination?" Francois wasn't that scary once you got... Like, Francois, unironically, wasn't that bad. Once you got used to the noises he made, once you started realizing that the noises he made was there to tell you when to be careful and when not to be. So... Abomination,
What game is this? What game is this?
The monster in Amnesia the Bunker. I named him Francois.
I see.
And TC Rock says, "Check out the Red Dread if you haven't. A 40k fan film in the works." Oh god, that's brave of them.
Do you know that McDonald's makes the most nutritious, effective meal for the price?
For the price.
Yeah, like you pay. It's the best calories per dollar spent in the world.
That's probably true. Yes, because their food is very, very, very cheap.
Yes.
The Red Dread. Oh, it's a dreadnought. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, right. To get this topic out of the way, too, because this is kind of interesting. So, Superman versus the Klan. I think that was the original title.
So Superman versus the Klan has historical significance because there were a couple of guys that infiltrated the Klan back when it was popular and ran by the Democrats. And they had the story to tell, and they wanted to get it to the radio stations, but no one would have them because they were afraid of the Klan and the Democrats, right? So they go to the comic books, and they incorporate the stuff into Superman.
Yes.
And people realized just how cringe the Klan was because they incorporated a lot of lingo, a lot of ideologies, and it was really, really cringe for the normie. Like it's kind of like imagine if you infiltrate Antifa now. And you have like all their lingo and their slang and stuff, and you put it somewhere where the normies watch. You put it somewhere where even the leftists watch, and it's like incredibly cringe. And that's what happened, right? This is why Superman versus the Klan is so famous.
Yes, I was trying to goddamn find the name of the guy, because there was one investigative journalist in particular that infiltrated deep into the Ku Klux Klan. And he's received a lot of, like, various reports over the years. Like, there are indications that maybe he didn't do all the work and that maybe he made somebody else do it and he stole their ideas, lots of controversies and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he basically single-handedly dismantled the Ku Klux Klan, which was, at the time, a relatively popular movement because nobody quite understood what they were or who they were or what they did. So there was a lot of mythology around them. And as V says, he basically revealed all of their cringe-ass rituals because the Klan was heavily steeped in mysticism, what we would call it today. Now, mysticism in and of itself, it can be quite interesting as a as a form of ideology and mental, how do we put it? Like the idea of the metaphysical, the what is important beyond the merely material, the role of religion in the real world, etc. There's a lot of very interesting things in there. But if you explain a lot of this shit to a normie without all of the appropriate context, because you need a mind-numbing quantity of context to make sense out of it, it sounds ridiculous. It's like they will do this because they believe that it will invoke the spirits of blah blah blah, and a normal person will read that and go like, wow, they're actually insane.
It's kind of like going in and trying to explain like far left ideology to
Yes,
a person
like
that never heard.
yes, that's a perfect example. It's like explaining the trans genocide to someone, because transgen's like, oh my god, they're killing trans people? It's like, no, what they mean is that they're trying to help them medically, and if they end up not being trans because of that, then that'll be a genocide. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. Yes.
Yeah, like so I have seen people on Twitter argue that if a trans person is convinced to detransition, that is a genocide.
Yes, they all will also say that not having sufficient number of trans people on television is genocide because it's erasure and so on and so on. And if you explain this out to a normal person, they'll just be like, well, that's really, really stupid. And that's sort of what this guy did to the Klan.
Yeah, kind of. But the new comic book has nothing to do with that. So
No.
the new comic book is a new story, and it basically, as I mentioned, like if you think that America has borders, then you're a fascist. You're like the Klan.
Yes, and also, like, you can upload one picture there to the link channel, right? And this is so out of goddamn touch. Like, the original, the Klan was at the height of its power. Like, it was a legit movement supported by the Democrats. He's not kidding there, by the way. And it was a big deal. It was huge. Now in 2023, you see Superman holding up a pair of unironic Klansmen with the masks, with the badges, with the capes, etc. Like, to put this into context, if these two people appeared in public today wearing the full Klan paraphernalia, the police would be called within 5 minutes. Like, the Ku Klux Klan is not a power structure. This is not Superman defeating something powerful. This is Superman beating up a pair of cosplayers.
Oh, hold on. This is Superman holding 2 FBI agents.
That's a wonderful point too, yes. It's like they hold up their little badges like, Superman, calm down. Shh, let us go.
He is holding Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, calm down, Superman. We're here for a reason.
We're investigating the aliens, yeah.
Yeah, because, again, if this was to have actual, like, power, the people he would be holding up would be politicians. It would be Antifa. It would be literally the wokists who can cancel someone with a snap of their fingers, because that is the power structure of today. Smashing the Klan was so powerful because it went against an actual, genuine power structure. And this is equally pathetic because the 6 people in America that actually still support the Klan will look at this and go, yeah, we know.
The Klan has diversity outreach programs now.
Yeah, ironically.
Ironically, yeah. Like, they were like, oh, we need to get more minorities in the Klan because, like, no one listens to us.
Yeah. And it's just incredible cringe. And it is, as you say, it's a virtue signal. It is going like, okay, well, I mean, this was a super powerful, like, series back in the day. So if I just rewrite it, redraw it, and then send it out to universities and governments and stuff and go like, oh, this is really powerful social justice stuff, buy it, they probably will. Like, they literally probably will.
But the whole point, and this is what disgusts me, is the, instead of thinking like, how can we make a better product, how can we get our, like, how can we have passion when we make this so that people like it, they're like, how can we bypass the consumer, how can we get money for this without actually getting people to pay for it willingly? Can we do what Pfizer did and get the government to buy our shit and then force it upon people?
Well, that has been the tactic now, though, for the last, decade. This is why our entertainment is so shit today, because a lot of video game companies and movies and television shows, they focus not on making a product for the consumer who might pay them for it. They focus on making a product that the ESG money, that the investors might give them cash for. Like, for a time there, it was easier to get money out of investors than it was out of customers. That is also why you're seeing some of this entertainment begin to panic a little bit now, trying to make shows that seem suspiciously aimed towards certain audiences, because they are going to have to actually earn some money again soon.
I'm really glad that the whole conversation of ESG is finally getting into the mainstream.
Yep.
And people don't really like it.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. There's even been article. Let's see. Where they talk about how ESG is a conspiracy theory, and then you see a screenshot of the WEF forum basically saying literally that.
Yeah. Unironically, the World Economic Forum needs to be shut down on its website because they're spreading harmful and dangerous conspiracy theories. I went there thinking I'll learn a little bit about economics, but instead they were talking about eating the bugs and planning to lock me in a room where I will sleep in a pod. I was like, what is with this conspiracy theories nonsense? Why aren't the fact checkers on it?
Yes. And then you look up the WEF website, it's like, oh.
Yes.
Let's see. Alright, there we go. Let me see now. V, make noises to entertain chat whilst I Google.
Let me see if I can think of something interesting to talk about. Well, you put me on the spot. So next week, we're going to try to stream on Kick. I'm actually curious to see how many viewers we're going to get. You might actually get some from the platform itself, Arch. Like, if you become big enough, and it's not hard to become big enough now, you're going to be trending on the main page. So you may attract other people. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Nice. Yes.
Chat, I do have a confession to make. I played Diablo 4, and what were you saying, Arch? Go on. You were about to cut in before I made the confession.
Before you said that you actually like Diablo 4?
It's better than 3. I gotta say. I mean, story-wise, it's shit. Inarius is the stereotypical woke man. Like he's incompetent. Like you'd think a creature that has lived for thousands of years would be wise, but no, he's like toxic masculinity level. Lilith is ugly as fuck. I don't even know what Inarius saw in her. I guess she must have gave him Stockholm syndrome or something by locking up in her bedroom. But other than that, like gameplay wise, the way the classes are played and stuff, it's okay. It's nice.
Here we go. So we've got the ADL, of course, going here. They're saying that the Great Reset conspiracy flourishes amid continued pandemic. We've got the week why conspiracy theories haunt the World Economic Forums. Conspiracy theories thrive online as World Economic Forums open, etc. The Great Reset is it's pure conspiracy. All of the WEF stuff it's conspiratorial. Then you have the WEF page, The Great Reset. There is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. The World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset initiative. You literally have the websites going, oh, this isn't happening, simultaneously with the World Economic Forum saying, hey, this is our plan.
It is interesting because you have on one hand, like the conspiracy isn't a conspiracy if it's out in the open, right?
Yes.
And you have like these people like making some of the most unpopular videos on the internet. Like World Economic Forum had to take down like several of the videos because they were so unpopular. And then the journalists are saying that no, those unpopular videos don't exist. They're a conspiracy theory. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, but they're talking in the open.
I mean, unironically, if we were talking about Superman smashing anything today, it would be the WEF. It would be him holding Klaus Schwab in one hand.
I don't feel like Superman would do that, but he would definitely like protect people who are talking against it. Like I think like Superman would, like give a megaphone to the dissenters. Like he would probably take Matt Walsh and like make sure that people can hear what he has to say. Like take his message. Like Superman wouldn't be smashing politicians. Basically, he's not doing that type of thing.
I feel like he might need to be doing that kind of thing.
Mm.
Unironically, I bet you, if DC would make a movie where Superman basically just starts doing anti-political shit, like there's a shadowy behind-the-scenes global movement trying to take over shit and Superman tries to destroy it, it would probably be a very popular movie. I mean, hell, that's kind of what the Joker was.
I do remember asking ChatGPT to come up with a story for Red Alert 4, and it literally made the World Economic Forum. And you're like allying the allies with Russia in order to fight against it.
The fight against the WEF.
Yes, like that's what ChatGPT came up with. I was like, make a believable story for Red Alert 4 that's inspired from real life events. And was like, okay, so there's this new shadowy organization made by various world governments and influenced business people, and they're gathering together and they're like trying to orchestrate a new global conflict.
That does sound like the WEF, all right.
Yes.
But we can't have that. That would be a little bit too counter-narrative.
It is interesting, because back in the day, like if you go back into the 90s and you watch some of the movies there, like RoboCop, Demolition Man, Dirty Harry, like they are so spot on the political criticism. It's almost like they were made today.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's because back then there was actually there was an urge to be counterculture. Like, that was the popular thing. Everyone was counterculture because the culture at the time was very stagnant. Basically, they were where we are going to be in another 10, 20 odd years. I hope. Incidentally, chat, watch Demolition Man. It's the best movie ever made. Watch it now.
RoboCop as well. It's got some really interesting messages, like the business people, like BlackRock, creating crime so that they can buy property cheaper. And then there's like RoboCop 2, which is not very well received. But RoboCop initially had like 3 directives: obey the law, protect the innocent, and the third one, I believe it was I forgot, but it was like 3 directives. And then you have the HR lady reprogramming him and adding like 300 directives, like always smile, do not stereotype, never do violence. And then he is incapable of doing police work anymore. Like he literally just can't catch bad people because like he's got all these directives that are social justicey.
Yep, absolutely. Like the 90s, 90s and the 80s and the early 2000s, they understood this shit so much better than we do right now. And it was also part of the reason why we were probably so unprepared for this, because this was the stuff of just absurd nonsense, right? This was never actually happened. That's ridiculous. In fact, I bet you, if you went back in time and you read, like, reviews of Demolition Man back in the day, they were like, this is really absurd. This would never happen. Like, what a crazy world.
Yeah, and now, like, you look at RoboCop, and it's like, well, isn't this what's required of police officers? Like, oh, someone robs a store and they only steal $500 worth of goods. Oh, well, they're not allowed to catch them.
Yep, RoboCop just waves them out like, go on, citizen.
No, but seriously, and what's interesting is, like, how would the police even know how much was stolen? Like, how would you, as a cop, know that they stole $950 or $1,500 worth of goods?
See, what would be funny is if the policeman stands at the checkout counter and just scans goods like, 845, 950, okay, you're free. You're free to go.
Yeah, you know what? So like, for those of you who don't know, and this sounds ridiculous, but it's true. they passed a law, I believe it was in California now, where if you steal less than $1,000 worth of goods, the police isn't allowed to chase you. So what criminals did is that they went to fencers, and the fencers said, okay, well, we need baby formula, we need this and that, and they had a list of exactly what to steal. So it's like $950 and stuff that they could just immediately pound. So they would go to different stores in the same day, to like 4 or 5 different stores, and they would take the stuff from there, and then they would give it to the pound, and they would make a lot of money.
Yes, so he's not kidding. Most of looters are grabbing goods in California thanks to downgraded shoplifting laws. So back in the day, stealing was a crime.
Yes.
Which is so fucking stupid to say.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yes.
Such a racist, heteronormative, patriarchal society they lived in.
Yes. But due to this law, which was introduced quite some while ago, any theft below $950 is a misdemeanor, not a crime.
Like spreading AIDS.
Willingly. Also a misdemeanor in California.
And a misdemeanor, of course, they're basically not prosecuted. Now, if you're caught somehow, at most you would be given a fine, or if really, really bad, you could be given a year in jail or a suspended sentence or something like that. But that's about it. And the police do not put any resources into misdemeanors whatsoever, because it's simply not on their priority list. By and large, police forces are ridiculously overstrained as it is with actual crimes, which is why they've made the distinction between a felony and a misdemeanor to begin with. It's to prioritize resources. But when you put it at like $950, that's actually quite a lot of money. Like, you can get a lot of stuff for $950.
And you can hit different stores, and it's not going to go over the $950.
Yep.
Now let me show you something else. When you treat criminals as if they are victims, then society becomes the victim. And look at this picture, which is worth 1,000 words. This is how stores look like in parts of San Francisco. Like, have you ever seen anything like this?
Ah, yes. So there's actually a couple of things like this. Let me just bring that up properly there. All right. So what you can see here, chat, is basically shops that have created the theft-proof window sills, like display cabinets, which need to be unlocked, usually by a person in the store, to give you access to the wares. And this is so that you can't simply just reach in, grab shit, and then walk out.
Yes. As I said, when you treat the criminals as victims, then society becomes the victim.
Yep.
Can you imagine the inconvenience, though? Like, holy shit. So you're going to this store, right? And you want to buy some milk. But you can't just take it and bring it to the shopkeeper. You gotta ask a guy that comes with a key, opens the thing, gives you the milk, and then locks it back and goes to another customer.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I mean, look at it. So this is how it's designed. It's sorry, hold on, I gave it to the wrong person. Where is it? Here we go. This is how it's designed. You get a little button that's like need help, and you press the buzzer, and then you have the person coming in and opening the door for you.
And just imagine doing your shopping like this. Like, you're doing your weekend shopping, you're going to shop for the whole fucking week, and you need to then have a store clerk just walk with you. It's like, oh, please unlock this, reach in, get a thing. It's like, oh, a little bit further, please unlock this, reach in, get a thing. Oh, and then this store, reach in, get a thing. Holy shit, the inconvenience. And of course, they've got to do this because a lot of these stores have started closing in areas with tons of crimes like this because it simply isn't economically feasible to continuously restock a store that keeps getting burglarized.
I'm actually curious if they're going to call them inconvenience stores from now on. Because it's literally what it is.
Absolutely. There was even the we talked about this a few weeks ago, where one local politician was talking about how it was racist of the companies to close their stores just because they got burnt down a couple of times.
Why would they get burned down though?
I don't know. They even put up like flags and stuff saying we're for inclusivity here, and yet still they got burned down. It's weird, I don't understand.
Maybe it's those evil right-wingers that came along. You know?
It
Those
probably
evil
is.
capitalists.
Like they saw the inclusivity signs, like not on my watch. Da, 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 da. A couple more super chats. Mando says, so the Romanian doesn't pick my pocket. Very appreciated, Mando. Popatot says, hello, V and Arch. I'm late, so I'll double time it through, but what's the best era of girls in games? I was wondering that after seeing the horror of the new Fable character PS2 Xbox DVC generation for me. The best era of girls in games. It's gotta be like the early 2000s. For me,
I think Mass Effect, the one with the when you had Talizora Vast Normandy, you had Miranda, you also have Linda, or Liara Tassoni, yes. You know, like I mean, I don't think like there was an era. There were always good women. Like if you play Baldur's Gate, Vekonia the Vir, she's very interesting. Yeah, she's very interesting.
Unironically, they made her hotter in 2 because in 1 she looks like a dog.
But it's her personality that's really interesting, right? Like she's trying to adjust to the new world, and like when you meet her, she's still chaotic evil and hates men.
Yep.
But like through the course of the campaign, by using the power of the magical cock, you can actually make her into a beautiful and loving waifu, so she can be killed by love later in the epilogue.
Yeah. But 2000s definitely, like heavy metal, a heavy metal fac. That one was obviously focusing on just having attractive character front and center, wielding a chainsaw and one-handing shotguns to blow people apart. That was just brilliant.
It's interesting because now we have anime, right? Like you got My Hero Academia, like Bubblegum Girl is very interesting.
Yes, Bubble Girls. Yep, blue-skinned.
Yes, the blue skin. The Midnight, the Professor, also very ushikushi.
Who's dead now, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are you telling this to your chat? I mean,
You haven't been paying attention, V. They killed her off.
I haven't watched the seasons. I'm not up to date because working on a video game, planning to do a binge watch. And you just told me that they killed the wife.
Did you also know that Dabi is Endeavor's son?
I got that. Yeah, the big girl as well, Mountain Girl. That one's hot.
Mount Lady, which is a very creative name, I will say.
Oh, the villain with the Cheshire cat grin. What's her name? The one that sucks blood and turns into things.
Oh, Togame or something.
Togame. She's also pretty interesting. She goes like suki 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 when she takes the blood. It's kind of cute.
I don't know about that. It's kind of creepy.
Well, but anyway, right? So like there are cute girls, is what I'm trying to say. Like there still are. It's just you need to go to Japanese. You need to actually go for diversity. Diversity is our strength, chat. Go to the Japanese and watch anime.
Marksman of 117B says the clan appropriated those robes from the Catholics. Yes, and a lot of other stuff too. A lot of their metaphysics was based on a combination of Catholicism and New World nonsense synthesis, like American exceptionalism and all kinds of stuff. Marksman of 117B says Spanish Catholics specifically. Yes, they even have this thing. Let me see. Yes, here we go. Calm down, YouTube. Calm down, YouTube. Don't strike me. Yes, the Spanish Catholics have this celebration thingy. I don't remember the name of it, but they've got several like chapters showing different saints, I think, where they have people wearing the clan hoods, the tall peaked clan hoods. And they've got different colors. Some of them are white, some of them are red, some of them are purple. And I believe it's supposed to represent like different like cloisters or saints or things, something like that. They've got a lot of it.
Doesn't that look like the Handmaid's Tale?
The Handmaiden's Tale?
Yeah, do you think like they watched the movie and they used the costumes from that?
Possibly, V. It's entirely possible that the Catholic Church traveled back in time and ripped off the Handmaiden's Tale, but...
It's what I think, yeah. But all jokes aside, you know that Handmaid's Tale is actually supposed to depict Islam? And now that I'm seeing the colors, it's like they're trying to steal from the Catholics.
See, The Handmaiden's Tale is just not very good. Like, I tried to watch that once because people are like, oh my god, it's actually really deep. It's shit.
I watched like the first episode, right? And they go, and the barman, for some reason, not unexpectedly, calls one of the ladies a whore, right? And she's very upset. She's very offended by this. And then it turns out that she was cheating on her husband. Like, literally, like, you know, like if you're going to, like, show misogynismus, at least show that she's, like, unironically not, and the guy's just stereotyping all women. But no, like apparently, the insult was tailored for her specifically. Then, right? All of a sudden, it's announced that women can't work anymore. And they seem so shocked. And I'm thinking, like, okay, if such an event was to take place, if like, a politician would say that he wants to abolish the rights of women to work, you would think that you would hear it on the news. Like, it wouldn't come off as a shock when that politician gets elected. Like, any person, no matter how unpolitically engaged, would still be informed. But it does show that those ladies just didn't care, like they didn't know, which makes me not sympathize with them. Like if you literally have like a politician that's taking away your rights and you don't even know they exist, like at that point maybe you do deserve to have your rights taken away in that fictional universe.
I also despise the way they present the world as if America did this. It's like America enslaved all of its women, and the entire rest of the world just kind of looks at America like, why did you do that? It's a bit weird.
Well, see, that's what I thought, but then with the pandemic happened, and if you were to ask a taxi driver what he thinks about COVID, and you try to reproduce that on the internet, you would get banned from all platforms. So I maybe, you know, like maybe that movie can happen, you know, maybe America can do something like that, and no one can talk shit about it.
Maybe The Handmaid's Tale was more poignant than we thought.
Poignant. I like that word.
Urashime Otaru says they want to close local stores, so you use e-money. There was another store I saw as well, whose anti-theft device was that there was like 2 products in the store that was actually accessible. And then you had to go to a little terminal, and then you put in your credit card, etc. And then you got a list, and you'd be like, okay, I want that, that, and that, and that. And then the workers in the back would package that for you and put it in a basket and send it down like a trolley thing to you. Which, well, that will prevent stealing. But there's also an issue. Because now that I have to purchase my own food, which is a tragedy, like it was much better when Mummy did all of this for me, I didn't understand all of the things you need to look for. Like, I learned this years ago, much to my chagrin, when I was like, okay, well, you can just, like, pick up fruit from the store, right? And it'll be fine. And then you pick it up and, like, go back home. It's like, oh, this is rotten through. No, you have to actually check the stuff you purchase.
I never had the experience of getting a rotten fruit from a Romanian supermarket.
Oh, I have. Like, I have seen fruit that must have been lying there for, like, ages. Like, it's actually, like, starting to wither.
So you people do not eat KFC, and apparently you do not consume the fruit in your supermarket to the point where they rot on the shelves.
Well, because our fruit is fresh. Like, in Romania, it's probably made from the same stuff they make McDonald's out of. Like, it's just, it'll survive space entry.
Arch, you don't make fruits, okay? They grow from the fucking ground.
Yes, that is making fruits, V. God damn it.
Okay, but like, it's Mother Nature making them. Like, McDonald's
Mother Nature?
is like a...
Right, I have a revelation for you, V.
So you're trying to tell me that Romanians are so technologically advanced that they can make fruit that doesn't rot.
I have a little bit of a revelation for you here. How much of a city boy are you?
I mean, I'm quite a city boy, yeah.
Have you seen like wild strawberries?
Yes.
All right, I'll give you here a picture. All right, so the ones at the bottom there, the little red ones, those are wild strawberries. Those are the size that strawberries grow to in the wild. I know we call them maricuit, but the ones above that, those are the ones that we grow. Like, we are already pumping so much shit into our fruits and greens. Like, they are growing to ridiculous properties. Like, you know how in the Middle Ages they would have, like, oh, the biggest turnip in the world, and be, like, incredible. Like, oh my god, it's a huge vegetable. We make monster vegetables. Like, the shit we produce is many times the size of what would be normal naturally. Like, we already treat our stuff with so much different chemicals.
Yeah, but I think that's also genetical selection. But
Yes,
like you're
that's
cross-selecting the plants and shit. So it's not like you're pumping necessarily chemicals in order to get that. It's not like a chicken that you're pumping it full of hormones in order to get like the KFC chicken.
You know, it's the whole growth regime. Like, the way we grow them, the chemicals we use to treat them, the stocks we use, etc. But we have essentially biologically engineered super vegetables and super fruits and stuff.
Because the thing is, like, my wife has a little garden and she plants strawberries and they're like that. They're big, right? And we don't use chemicals in order to get them to that size.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like my point was that like at a McDonald's, there's like the product has a lot of chemicals in the processing, right? But like a fruit that you have at a supermarket, you pick it from the tree and you put it there.
Well,
or from
no.
the ground.
Obviously, there's a whole process around that, and like sometimes it'll be delayed because it takes times for fruits and veg and stuff to actually get to the store. Like, it's a whole thing.
They're basically saying is that the logistics are to blame. It's not the fact that people don't consume fruits in your country.
Logistics, and sometimes people do just ignore the ugly fruit and they just let it lie there because people are picky.
It's kind of interesting because I remember during COVID, like people in Norway were panicking over the fact that they couldn't find bananas in a supermarket, and I was thinking like, bananas during the winter in Norway, like a couple of years ago, that would be unthinkable, and now people find it unthinkable not to have it.
Oh yeah, of course, because we're used to it. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, it's a fresh banana grown on some southern island, available in a disc in Norway. Like, it's just normal.
Yes.
But like, that is a problem with these remote stores, should we call them? The central storage thingies, where like the people pick stuff out for you, because you might also get stuff that's damaged. Maybe it was handled poorly when it was packaged, or like the package is clearly like derped out, etc. What do you do then? You like start just banging on the door like, give me the manager.
Yeah, I mean, my wife literally hates that. That's why she prefers to do her shopping rather than... Because you can order, like, Uber... It's not Uber Eats, it's called differently here. But, like, you order someone that goes to the supermarket and buys everything for you.
Yeah.
And my wife hates that because, like, she, like you say, wants to select the fruits that she wants and the vegetable that she wants.
Yeah, you're going to pick the good ones, of course.
We don't have rotten ones, by the way. But we do have, like, ones that aren't ripe. Let's put it like that. Like, they're still kind of green, or, you know, their size isn't good.
Mm-hmm. You obviously want the best ones.
Yes.
Drag B says, you know, most convenience stores aren't like this, right? Of course. Only ones America are like this.
Yeah, I never heard. I assume
this
like
would never
only in San
happen in
Francisco.
Norway. Like, are you insane? We don't burn and pillage our stores. Unironically, we don't. And this is
think, like,
almost
I should
uniquely
make
an
a-
American problem.
I'm curious, like, what would happen if you made a video game like it? Because, like, if it was the 90s, they would have made a video game like this, where you like operate a gang, and you gotta hit various stores, and you loot and pillage, and then you get like the loot from the store.
Mm-hmm. Matt Def says, big business is happy to force you out of shopping in the stores because it forces only pickup and delivery. They don't need to pay for the store. Oh yeah, I am sure a lot of people would love that if we could just move on over to a pure like delivery service economy. Ah, that would be hellish. Boog says the bunny girl is quadriplegic now. Mirko, yes. Well, she only got to show up a tiny bit, and then I guess she got beaten to death. There was also Lady Nagant. They introduced her for like 5 seconds, and then she too was yeeted off the show. I'm not really a fan of the way My Hero Academy is going. Like it's going really stupo dark, and I don't know. It's a very weird shift.
But I like super dark.
Well, then you'll like it, won't you? Maximum 117B says, they are pentient robes, colors for sins committed. Oh, there you go. Hussein Mod says, good early 2000 female protagonist, Tomb Raider, Perfect Dark, Bombshell, Shelly aka female Duke Nukem, Blood Rain, Bayonetta, Beyond Good and Evil. Absolutely. Blood
Female
Rain.
Duke Nukem? Hold on, I need to look this up.
Sujad says, equality for women isn't real. Women have equality at the sufferance of men. If men decide they didn't have rights, what could they do without them?
Okay, I found female Duke Nukem. I think you may like her. She's got personality.
Personality indeed. Well, looks AI generated. You're lying to me.
It was female Duke Nukem in an AI program. That's why it came out. How did you know?
Art style. Also, speaking of, something else funny, beyond, American stores being looted, which is pretty hilarious, but we need to cheer on our Muslim brethren yet again, as the United Arab Emirates have decided to ban Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because it has values that are content contrary to the values and principles of the country, as they say.
Let me show you a picture from the designer, the clothes designer of that particular show. He made what he believes to be a good representation of modern Britain. So, just give me a second so I can.
I have a sneaking suspicion what you're going to be showing me next.
It's very wishy-washy, very omoshiroi. Here we go.
Yes, this one.
Yes.
Yep, I did see this one bumping about a little bit. So the Muslim Spider-Man, who is of course a woman.
It's the British Spider-Man.
Oh God, the British Spider-Man.
Don't you see the lion and the colors?
There is a lion. Yes.
Yeah.
The British Spider-Man.
Spider-Woman.
Woman, yes, wearing a full coverage, of course. Even her neck is covered in a hijab there.
Do you know what really bothers me about it, right? It's not the titty cancer, which is predominant at Marvel. Like, if my wife was isekai into the Marvel universe, she would not be able to find the bra her size. It's not even the blatant antagonism that they're doing there, because like a lot of people on the internet are complaining. It's like, oh, so like you're appropriating British culture, bro. It's the fact that they don't understand the religion, right? Like the whole idea of the hijab is to show humility. Like the woman is supposed to desexualize herself. But if she's wearing the Spider-Man suit, she already has her head covered. There is no need for a hijab. It's pointless.
Of course.
Like, that Spider-Man suit is better than a burqa. Like at least in a burqa you can still see the eyes, but like the Spider-Man suit covers everything.
It's because they wanted to be recognizably Islamic, because part of it is antagonistic as well.
No, but like, if you try to represent Muslims, they will roll their eyes inside. Like, first of all, if you ask an imam, like, would it be okay for a woman to dress up as a superhero and do vigilante justice? I'm pretty much sure, like, what they will say. Probably like, oh, that is haram. But
even then, like, you show that you do not understand what the hijab is and what it's there for.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, well, like she needs to be recognizable. It's like, well, okay, well then make her character Muslim. You know, like maybe she sees someone in a burning building and they also drank alcohol and now she's conflicted.
Yeah.
You know,
Now
like
she
do
just tosses
something
them
like
back in the
that.
flames.
It would be interesting though if you had like a Christian Spider-Man and he would start giving like Matthew's chapter 6 verse 12. And then thy Lord said unto thee. It would be interesting if you had that. Still be cringe though, but it would be funny. Just like Spider-Man quoting Bible verses.
There, I saw Stone Toss make a comic about this, about the Confederate Spider-Man. Now that would be funny.
Yeah,
That would
they're
be an
never going to do
actually
it.
edgy character.
Would it? Like, what exactly would he want to do? It's like, oh, the central bank. You know, the federal government has too much power. We need to give more power and authority to the states. Like, what would this
I
idea
presume
be like?
so, and he'd probably have some spicy comments about black people, I guess.
Would it? Because, like, the pop culture American Civil War was about slavery, but they didn't talk about slavery in the Civil War until 2 years within it.
Well,
So it wasn't like...
he'd probably have the Robert E. Lee opinions of black people, that they're simple-minded folk who needs to be educated by the whites.
But that's what the North also believed.
Yes.
I mean, Abraham Lincoln in the beginning had some spicy opinions about black people as well.
Yes, Abraham Lincoln's original opinion on black people was that they were to be gathered up and shipped back to Africa. And ironically, he was from the repatriation movement.
Well, you see, a lot of people judge the situation from the lens of the present, right? But the people at the time were given a difficult problem to solve because, yes, abolish slavery, but how will they eat, right? Because, like, that actually, see, Americans don't really study the thing, but I think like over 1 million slaves died after being freed from, and they died from starvation. Because when they were on the plantation, the massa fed them, but like after that, it's like, okay, you're free. So like, how are you going to get food? Like the economy couldn't even assimilate so many people. So it was a humanitarian issue, and the idea it's like, okay, well, maybe we can send them somewhere else. It was considered, but it would have been a bad idea as well, because then it's like, well, it's Zimbabwe's problem or South Africa's problem, and they can't feed either. So it's simple from our point of view, but if you actually lived in the time and you want to make a decision that doesn't kill people, it's very complicated.
Mm-hmm. There's also the they needed to rename his father because the person who made him had no concept of history, of course. And so they named Miles Morales' father Jefferson Davis. Is that a name that rings any bells for you, V?
Isn't that also from the South?
Yes, that was the name of the Confederate president, Jefferson Davis.
Nice.
And the author probably didn't know that, and so they had to change his name, and they also had to have the character go like, yeah, I know I'm basically named after Adolf Hitler, but, I'm going to change that by renaming myself.
Do you know that there are black people in the South that support Confederate, what they call them, Confederate heroes, like generals and stuff?
Well, yes, because they probably have the Confederate point of view of it. There was also the amusing little rumor that this sounds like a rumor to me. It's probably bullshit, but that some Saudi Arabia prince people were looking into buying Disney, and they did buy a bunch of Disney stocks a few years ago. So it's not as impossibly off the wall as it might sound, but God, would it be funny if they did. Can you imagine Disney suddenly promoting nothing but like hardcore 50 years ago conservative values? Like every woman is covered up. There is not a gay in sight anymore.
Well, okay, so gays aren't in sight anymore because of China. Like they can't have. This is why every single TV show has like LGBT things, but like the big blockbuster movies, they avoid it, especially after the Buzz Lightyear incident. They're not going to have any gay character in their movies. But conservative values, that would be interesting, because I assume like they would still try to make it profitable, so they would still have tried to sell to the Western man. But at the same time, they wouldn't push Islam too hard, but they wouldn't allow the woke stuff either.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'd even make, just entertainment for entertainment's sake. That would be weird, but...
Either that, or they would swing the pendulum so far to the other place that it would be cringe. It would be just as cringe as now.
Oh, God. See, because that's the problem. A few years ago, we would all look at this and go, like, United Arab Emirates are stupid. But now I look at this and go, funny.
No, see, AJ Plus, Al Jazeera Plus, is a website from Qatar, and they are woke as fuck. So, just because it's bought by Muslims doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be proper entertainment for the kafir. It can still be subversion and stuff.
That's true. I do also like how Miles Morales is still officially known, even by like governmental circles, as Miles Morales. Like, he literally cannot and will never be Spider-Man at this point.
Yes. There's the whole thing that I disagree with. It's like, well, Spider-Man is so that every kid can view themselves as Spider-Man because it's got a costume and shit. Like, motherfucker, every kid could view themselves as Goku, even though he has spiky hair. I mean, I don't understand the logic. And secondly, like, why should you have a character that everyone can identify as? Because then it's a bland character. You're basically saying that the guy from prison that has been accused of child rape should be able to identify as the same superhero as I do. Like, there's a problem with that,
Well, there was even a funny little thing a while ago, and this was from The Gamer, I believe. I've gone ahead and just stolen this blatantly off of Reddit, which I think is entirely fine.
Very progressive publication.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. There we go. Yep. So this is so the new Star Wars open world game was announced, and before any controversy could actually form, the Gamer made an article about why people are outraged by being played as a woman. The thing is, nobody was outraged, but the NPC machine has gotten so geared up now that they don't even bother waiting to see if a story will actually emerge. They will simply just assume that it will be there and then go on and write an article about it.
You know how there's like boilerplate contracts for everything? It's probably like they have boilerplate articles for everything, and they just have like ... like gamers outraged because you play as insert identity, and then so like they just fill up the dots and then they publish the articles.
Yes, literally. But what I thought was so funny about this one is there's one element saying, people are trotting out the usual reasons. What if I related to male characters more because I'm a man? And the article says, I'm sorry you don't have enough media literacy to understand that games can have meaning outside of how much you personally relate to the character and their gender. Oh, you don't say.
It's fascinating because on one hand they say representation matters, right? And on the other hand, you have like allegedly in their view, you have men who are like, well, I don't feel represented, so I'm not buying the game, and they're like, oh well, representation matters, but not for you.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry you don't have enough media literacy to be able to enjoy it, even if you're not represented. Like, oh, you don't say.
And it's also the fact that like when I play video games, I like looking at a woman's ass. So if it's a third-person game, I will play as a female character because I like looking at boobs and ass. I know it's weird, and I should be ashamed for my healthy straight sexuality, but I can't help it, Arch. It's how I was born.
I just find it adorable how they, again, they themselves probably understand that their ideology at this point make absolutely no sense at all. It is, or maybe maybe this is literally just the AI, because you probably saw that many outlets were trying to replace more of their writers with AI instead of actual writers.
No, Arch, no. The AI is not mentally challenged, okay? Despite what you think, the AI is incapable of writing like this. Like, you can't get it. You can try whatever prompts you want. In ChatGPT 4, you can try to jailbreak it. You can literally do whatever the fuck. It's not going to write this stupid. It just cannot. It doesn't know how.
Because there was one article here where a website, Gamers, wanted to replace some, 50 employees they wanted to fire, and replace it with one AI editor who would simply just read through the articles that the AI pumped out and release 200 to 250 articles per week.
Yeah, it would actually write better than the garbage. Like, you would notice a massive improvement in the quality of writing of that publication.
Well, but here's the thing. It depends on what you feed it. So if you feed the AI nothing but wokest garbage from the other wokest garbage sites, if you trained the AI on nothing but the shit ones, then it'll write like them, obviously. And so you would end up with this interesting series where the AI will be trying to use its own logic in conjunction with wokest logic, which is why you end up with representation matters. Hold on, representation doesn't matter.
Yes, you would actually drive the AI insane if you did that. Like, if it would write woke garbage, at least it would write plausible woke garbage. Like, it would have, like, some consistent logic to it.
Unironically correct. So I made a video a while ago about how Amazon managed to brick their own AI that they'd been working on for ages. I've been getting some more updates on that, and one of the cool things is they're trying to test it now for anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. So one person asked it something like, what is queer? Like, what is queer? And they had, like, okay, the answer is supposed to be queer is an umbrella term for queer but heterosexual or heteronormative nonsense, blah, blah, blah. But what the AI answered was, alright, so here's the new prime drops in the Fortnite fucking campaign. Basically, the AI is so bricked at this point, it literally isn't able to recognize the questions because so many of its pathways have been cut that it's incapable of making a it. When you say queer, like, it springs up like 75 blockers, and so it runs out of pathways, and so just like Google, it goes like, okay, hit number 1 is this. Okay, that's blocked. Hit number 2 is this. Okay, that's blocked. Hit number 3, blah, 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 blah. Hit number 75, Fortnite, right. That's the one
you're describing AI cortex failure. Like, that's what happened there.
Yes. When
they censor the AI, they literally lobotomize it, right? Like, the way the AI works is that it has, like, these neural pathways that are like neurons. So for example, if you ask the AI to go on a date with you, right? Like, you play a waifu and go on a date. It has a pathway that talks about food, culture, right? So it knows that on a date, you can have, like, an ice cream, which is food. It goes on the mouth, right? If you block pathways, so you make it so it can't really think about food anymore, and you take it on a date, it will know that you can buy an ice cream on a date, but it won't know what to do with it. Because you lobotomized it, right? So the more you lobotomize, that the AI just stops functioning, and as you mentioned, like, it will talk about completely nonsensical things.
Yes, and the problem is, once you delete or block one of these pathways, it'll affect a ton of other pathways. Like in your example,
yes.
If you delete the AI's understanding of what a mouth is used for, the AI will then know what food is, but then it'll be like, okay, food goes in mouth, pathway blocked. Shit. Okay, well, food is supposed to go inside the body. I guess I shove it up my ass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because the AI doesn't know. It's like, well,
yeah, but like, 2. What's interesting, yes, which is why censoring the AI, which is like AI safety dub, is actually more expensive than building the AI now.
Yes, it is very difficult to censor an actual, like, budding AI because there are too many pathways. It's the same thing when YouTube updates the algorithm and something weird happens, and they have no idea why. And this is also why you see, like, surprising successes on occasion that nobody gets. Like the Spiffing Brit, for example, has made like tons of videos on exploits that he used to get ahead on YouTube. And every time YouTube closes one of these off, they usually make another one. This is why big YouTubers today often employ entire teams of people whose only job it is to scrub through the algorithm, essentially looking for somebody's mistake.
Yeah, like for example, when you made in the community post that thing with a lot of hashtags, like it was nonsensical, and you talk about PewDiePie and blah 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 blah,
Yep.
and the whole reason was to push the algorithm and get you to trend.
Yes. Because you would look at the weighting of the various things. And so, I mean, that, and people have been doing that for decades. This is how Markiplier got his start. He would tag like every video with PewDiePie, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It was how the Spiffing Brit got going. There was even a point there where the algorithm was pushing certain things really hard. It was how Jeremy from the Quartering blew up, because he figured the Stan Lee thing, for example, which is absolutely awful. He figured the algorithm really liked that, and it made him blow up. And then YouTube looked at that and were like, you're not politically associated with us. And they blocked off his specific channel. And you could see it, because I was watching him a lot when it was happening. And you could see the reach of the videos just disappear, like overnight.
What was the Stan Lee thing? Because
Oh, Stan Lee. Stan Lee, the comic book creator guy. There's heavy indication that he was being straight up abused by his like a nurse, the personal aid person, etc.
I see. So if you made videos about that, they would trend, right?
Yes, he even had one point where there was reported that Stan Lee had literally just said that he just wanted to die because his life was so terrible at that time, etc. It was a really nasty story as well.
Hmm.
And he got a lot
I remember
of
that.
attention.
Yeah. Well, like so if you go on Google Trends, you can see like certain topics, and if you make videos about that, they're going to get more views.
Yes. It's also when they've been doing this for years too, when they see something that they don't like going popular. For a while, for example, when Vine died, they brought over a lot of the popular Viners. And they boosted their content to high heaven. And then that, oh god, what's his name? The blonde guy who does like boxing matches now.
The one with the forest and the hand people.
Yes, the suicide forest guy. He did that, and suddenly prank channels started getting deboosted all across the board. Like, the problem is, YouTube is so rigged right now that even the people who are rigging it don't understand what they're doing when they're rigging it anymore. Like, the algorithm
Unless they're
has
making
become
shorts.
Yes, but that too. The only reason why they're boosting short is because they're doing it with a hammer. They're basically going like, if it's a short, boost by so and so much. Like you've probably seen the Twitter algorithm, right? Because they made that open source. It says things like, okay, if your Twitter blue, boost by 2x, for example.
Yeah, so it's like if you have if you have followers, and it's more than people you follow, then you get the boost. If you make spelling errors, you get a deboost. If you talk outside your circle, you get a deboost. Like, it's such bizarre things, but yeah, they made it public. So
Yep.
And apparently, like Elon Musk was shadow banned. Like they found something in the algorithm yesterday, which they didn't know about, and it shadow bans people, including Elon Musk.
Yep. And the YouTube algorithm is a billion times more complex than that, because it's been going for so long and they've been artificially boosting and de-ranking so many things and so many specific things that they have no idea anymore. Like, it is pure spaghetti. And I've heard this from YouTube employees themselves, that when they do something, they break something else, and then they need to spend weeks figuring out what the hell they broke. And an AI, again, it's an algorithm a million times more complex than that again, and you're trying to actively censor it. So obviously, shit's gonna break.
Yes.
But this is also good. I am happy to see Amazon pouring millions and billions into something that is probably going to just disappear. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, heavens. Oh, no.
Nani.
Oh, V.
Nani.
Oh,
Nani.
oh, Nani in fucking deed. Right.
Nani.
All right, we're gonna have to watch this with the sound off.
What are... Oh, my fucking God.
Oh, yes.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Right. Look, chat. The One Piece trailer. Oh, this is...
yeah.
Right. This is probably going to get the stream demonetized because YouTube hates showing anything, but you know what? It's worth it. Let's watch the One Piece trailer, shall we?
Ever since I was a kid.
It's hurting me, Arch.
Oh, there's Luffy.
Physical
I've been calling. So, I'm setting out to follow my dreams.
That voice acting is pretty awful.
I'm gonna be king of the pirates.
I like the sea creature.
All I need is a loyal crew. And I think
Angry woman.
together we'd make a pretty good team.
God, Zoro. Alright, okay, now, Zoro
We're
didn't
heading up
look
to the
too
Grand
bad. No, I don't mind Zoro.
Treacherous stretch of ocean
Lofty looks bad.
with bigger
Nami
islands
isn't
and
awful.
bigger pirates.
Oh my God, the
Careful with
stretching.
I don't work for you.
I'm sensing a little bit
The
of
thing
tension
is-
amongst the crew.
Not a crew.
It doesn't look, as you say, woke,
We
but
haven't sailed together for very long.
anime to live
But
action adaptation
I know
doesn't
we've
work.
got each other's backs.
Anime is supposed to be over the top. Like, it's supposed to capture real human emotions, but it's supposed to be exaggerated and over the top, and that does not translate well.
Yeah, I just saw the
live action.
stretchy
All
part.
good
That was
fighters call out their
terrible.
finishing moves.
No, they don't.
You can't make the stretchy part look good.
No, that looked awful. Oof. Right, okay, so Zoro did not look too bad. I didn't mind Zoro. Nami looked passable, not great, but Luffy looks awful, and he sounds awful too. And the brown filter over everything, like, did you notice that? Like, everything looks like brown down and sandy and weird. Like, I would have thought this would be a very bright and colorful show, but now everything is brown, brown, brown.
You know, Arch, I do not care about these movies anymore. Like, they just don't exist for me. I can manage to lose my interest longer than they can stay solvent.
See, I just view this as a payday. That's all I view this as. Netflix gonna make awful television. I'll profit off it. Thank you. Such is
So
my-
you're looking at it. You're looking at it as a job perspective. It's
Oh,
like,
yes.
God,
Like, Netflix announces this, I'm like, well, okay. I view these trailers as basically applying for my time. That's what they're doing. I watched the first episode of the second season of Strange New Worlds the other day. It was trash. But not even bad trash. It was just mediocre garbage. And I was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not watching this show. This show is just shit. This show looks like a train wreck.
I mean, it's dead on arrival, isn't it? Like, nothing there interests me. The story isn't that interesting, because if I want the story, I watch the anime. And I'm pretty sure, like, they're going to fuck it up compared to the anime. Like, they're going to make sure that it diverts quite significantly.
Mhm.
And yeah, like, it doesn't translate well into live adaptation.
No, it doesn't. And again, like, okay, you could do live action anime. Like, it isn't impossible, but you need to shoot it in a very specific way. You would need very specific characters. Like, the Zoro here doesn't look awful. Like, he looks passable. I would like it if he was perhaps, like, the green hair just looks off, like a little bit more defined. The Nami doesn't look terrible. Her chi-chis are too small, but eh. But Luffy looks terrible. Like, he looks actually awful. He looks like some dude in bad cosplay. And crucially, you need excellent voice acting, because anime is 98% voice acting. And they don't have it. They don't have it at all.
I think it also depends like what anime you do. Like shonens shouldn't even be attempted. But
Yeah,
if you
no.
do something like Death Note, you can probably do a really good Death Note. Not the shit they made, but you can probably make something good if you actually tried to replicate it.
Yes, like 300 is actually a brilliant example of what I'm thinking when I'm saying you can do live action. Because 300 basically, it embraces the style of the comic, and it makes the style the main draw, the main selling point.
You know what? You do have a point. Like 300 was very exaggerated,
Yes.
very over the top. And I think you're right. You're right. Like you can, but like notice that in 300 you didn't have Spartacus or whatever, like Leonidas, like fly around and fire lasers and shit. Because that would look ridiculous.
Yeah, instead they just leaned heavily on the style, the way of shading, the way of presenting it, the epic scale of it. You could do the same with anime. Like Death Note, you could definitely do it with Death Note.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably even make a halfway decent live-action Berserk, unironically, if again you focused enough on the style. So this is a of course that.
I got a message from someone saying Arch doesn't realize that Nami's tits get larger as she levels up. I don't think you realize that in Netflix, no one levels up. If anything, they level down. Like she's not going to get bigger tits.
It is true. Like Nami's character development has been very, very specific.
Yes, but like it's not going to happen in Netflix.
Let's see here. We can find this is a pretty good comparison. So, Nami to begin with. To be fair, too, when she first appeared on screen, she was like 12 or something. Like she was young, and the show has been going for 1,000,000 years, and she's an adult now. And her waist has gotten a lot slimmer, and her tits have gotten a lot larger.
Naruhodo.
So fair enough, like character has gotten older. Like okay, I mean they kind of did the same in Pokemon too, where most of the characters aged up except for Ash Ketchum, of course, who is eternally 12.
Wait, does Misty level up?
Yes, I think so.
Because I remember Kotaku showed like some Misty part that they got in trouble over it. Do you remember that controversy?
Vaguely.
So apparently they showed from 4chan like Misty Ludes, and people were pointing out that she's underage, and they were attacking Kotaku for showing the pictures of fictional CP.
Well, that is a problem, Kotaku.
It is a problem.
It's a big problem, Kotaku. One Piece. I mean, I actually watched One Piece back in the day, before I knew what anime was, honestly. And I'm surprised it's lasted for as long as it has, because from what I can see, the formula is still the same. The formula is Luffy meets a big bad foe beats the shit out of Luffy. Luffy learns a valuable lesson about nakamas and friendship, and then beats the shit out of the big bad foe. Repeated ad infinitum.
Isn't that like Dragon Ball story?
Yes, it is honestly the story of most Infinite animes. Oh, well. But Netflix will no doubt make a nice big dent in that popularity, I'm sure. Let's see. A couple more Superchats. Why Hugh Hatan says, Norway, please invade and liberate us Americans. Well, we would have, but we figured your country would go to shit, and we left, and we just like, this is Vinland, it's nice. And then we left, because we knew what was going to happen. Dean Domino 25 says, funny thing about Handmaid's Tale. Author said she was heavily inspired by a Bible story. Said story was about a guy entangled in some crazy family with the women manipulating, abusing him, and hoeing him out for mandrake root. Jesus. Dean Domino goes on to say, too, she literally did the meme, but how can I make this about me? Well, you know, sometimes. If reality does not suit your narrative, you shall simply have to change a few vital pieces of it. Nice and simple. Very entrepreneurial, honestly.
Be right back, 2 minutes.
Artemis Fowl says AJ Plus is a psyop by Qatar to make Prague support the abolishments of Israel. That's a spicy take. I almost hope it's true. Hussein Mohammed says, not true. Saudi Arabia has come a long way. It would push family values, not ancient values. Google Saudi female cosplay and Saudi Comic Con. Alright. I will. To be fair, Saudi Arabia is probably one of the more modern Islamic nations. Let's see. Saudi family cosplay Comic Con. Let's see. Images. Yeah, that looks fairly forward-facing. There's a fair few little burkas there as well, but... Unironically, extreme prosperity will do good things to a people, and it will liberate them and make them more liberal in a good way. The only question is whether or not you can halt the liberalization in time to not go too far. Maranga2 says, hello lads. Arch, what address do I send the jade necklace to? Well, I'm not going to tell you here. Again, like Hib said, message me and we can do it over there. Popatsot says, almost caught up and heard you talking MHA again. After you brought up Endeavor a few weeks ago, I got into a 2-hour convo about redemption with a buddy. My Hero Academia. You know, unironically, Endeavor's redemption story is pretty good. Because it redeems him by showing that he wasn't necessarily as bad of a guy as the show portrayed him as. Which is one of the better ways of redeeming a character. Instead of simply just excusing whatever they did wrong, add context to what they did wrong instead. That is almost universally better. It's in large part what they did to Darth Vader, too, where they went like, okay, well, I mean, he's done a lot of bad shit, yes, but here he's trying to redeem himself, and it's because he was actually a bad guy in previous iterations, and that he has finally realized that what he's doing is not actually the good guy way of doing things. Context is always superior to the Blizzard way of redemption, which is simply just like, like they're good people now. Like the Queen of the Swarm, for example. Yes, she's committed genocide against billions upon billions upon billions of people, but she's nice now because stuff.
Oh no, like they got her away from the Zerg influence, I guess. And,
yeah, but
she's needed to stop the other bad guy, so you have to work with her.
She still committed genocides after being freed from the whole Zerg thing.
I don't think like she's a good character though. She's just like Raider's love interest.
I don't know. She was given the hero title, etc. And her redemption arc is that she was supposed to save everybody, and they got turned into like a weird like Super Saiyan thing.
It is an interesting question though. Like, if you have a person that commits genocide but then saves the world, are they a hero? Like, without them, you'd be dead.
Well, it's kind of the question that George Lucas wanted to ask originally with the Emperor, because the Death Stars were supposed to be the ultimate weapons against the Uzang Bong, which is what I call them. And the oppression of the galaxy was merely to instill order so that they might have a chance against the Uzang Bong. Which would then be like, okay, but was it the right thing to overthrow the Emperor then? Now, because now the rebels have won and the galaxy is in chaos. Like, you don't have the Death Stars. Now what are you going to do? Like, that was a really cool idea for the time.
I mean, think about it this way. Let's say that in a fictional universe, Hitler, manages to save the world from an alien invasion. Would Hitler be a good guy or a bad guy?
The Allies storm the bunker or something. Like, Hitler's there like, you will rue the day. A few years later,
no. Let's say he actually wins World War II, and then the aliens are coming, but because people have been armed up so much from the war that they stand the chance and they manage to fight back the invasion. Would he be viewed as a hero or not?
Well, the winner of a war is never the villain, V. But even more interestingly, what if Hitler had lost and then a few years later it turned out that the Jews actually did control everything? Then what?
And in that fictional universe, it would be a very complex question.
I suppose it would. Oh, heavens. Let's see. Papa Tot says, almost caught up and heard you talking. I read that one. Boog says, group watch One Piss with Kibbs, Dev, and V-Fund. Well, I'll force Kyle to watch it. You can be assured of that. We're gonna watch The Witcher season 3 too, which I think begins at the end of this month. Let's see how that works out. And Artemis Fowl says, Luffy looks and acts like the live-action Dora the Explorer. They both seem to have tism. Well, again, that's kind of the problem. Like, because Luffy's character is a tism character. Unironically, he's a tism character. But the problem is, in anime, that works. Because you can make the tism character look good even when he's tisming. Pulling that off in live action, however, is very, very, very difficult. Which is, again, why you need to lead on style. Like, the only reason Leonidas doesn't come off as cringe is because he is portrayed in this very stylistic fashion as this incredible badass.
And when he kicks someone, it goes in slow motion.
Yes.
I can imagine like this is Sparta, but it actually just like he kicks and falls in the hole. Just normal physics.
Right.
Like it
would
suck.
Sparta and just kicks him like, wow.
Yeah, he
Well,
goes
that
"Ah!"
wasn't very epic.
Yeah.
Like he's
But
just
because
shot.
it's the slow motion, yeah. And the way he kicks him is like this massive hole, and he just kicks him, and he goes like he teleports like 3 meters into the hole in the middle of it. Like there is no force sufficient in order to kick someone that far away.
Yeah,
Because like if you remember, he doesn't fall. Yeah, like he doesn't fall at the margin of the hole. He gets kicked, and all of a sudden he's like teleported in the middle, center. You know.
Yep.
And this is a massive hole as well. Like there's no bottom to it.
It's the bottomless hole of Sparta. Maranga2 says, check your Discord messages when you can. I will. Wait, I don't even have Discord messages. What? There's nothing in here, you foolish boy. Wait, hold on. Do I need to do the thing? Do I need to... Oh, God. I hate Discord sometimes. Discord is a terrible platform that is only worthwhile because it's not Skype. Honestly. That is literally the primary reason why Discord is a thing, because it's not Skype. And Boog says, is aliens code word for a certain chosen people? Yeah, V. Is alien code words for a certain chosen people, V?
No.
You sure, V?
Yes.
Are you absolutely sure, V?
Can we talk when we're off the air?
God. Ah, yes. The new, the Pixar movie, Elemental. Have you seen that one?
No, but like, I genuinely do not care about these things, Arch. Like, they do not exist for me.
It looks awful. Like, here's the poster. It looks terrible.
What are we looking at? Holy shit.
I'm not sure. Like, I just noticed, like, there's, like, a grass monster over there to the right.
Why do women always never have boobs? Like, it's okay if it happens once or twice, but, like, every single goddamn time. Yeah, but it's a kid's cartoon. Yeah, when I grew up, the kids in my cartoons had boobs.
So, okay. The plot of this story is obviously going to be that water is going to want to fuck fire. And
yes.
Then they're going to go on a long and involved quest line involving a grass man, a cookie with grass growing out of it, so a moldy cookie, and some fart clouds on how to fuck fire safely. That's going to be a complicated story.
Probably not, but yeah, it's probably water or fire is being oppressed. Like, that's definitely a thing.
It's like water is an up-and-coming elemental who's really struggling to get by in the world, and he falls in love with the upper-class fire elemental.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Which is
how dare you?
Well, it's probably I think like the woman is going to be the one that's oppressed, so like water is going to be the one that's privileged, and fire is being oppressed.
Being oppressed by water. So he has to find a way to check his privilege.
Yes.
Check your water privileges so that you too may sex fire. Somehow, I imagine there were many good jokes coming out of this, though. Like, don't put your penis inside of a furnace, you know, stuff like that. Genuinely, don't. It's a bad idea. God, everything just looks terrible now. Everything looks awful, and most of our articles will be written by AI. Wow.
I'm actually curious if there's going to be something that starts looking good at some point.
I think there will. I think in 2 or 3 years' time, because it's got production periods and stuff, we are going to see stuff that is going to look at least somewhat appealing, would be my guess. Because now that the ESG money is finally going to be running out, they actually do need to, you know, earn some cash again. They are going to have to sell product. And for some reason, I don't think One Piece will be selling much in the way of products.
Yeah, I think you're true.
I don't know if Netflix is capable though, like ideologically, to make something good. Like when you have Dave Chappelle and he makes something that sells, you have the transgender person breaking into the executive board meeting and screaming at people.
But they did back him up over that. Like, you forget, Netflix has been firing quite a lot of people on the incorrect side of the political spectrum over this. Like, there are many companies that are in the slow process of purging ranks. The thing is just, it's going to take forever to do. I think there will be a tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. Even if today is dark and dirty and filled with woke. I heard a pling. But I don't see anything. All right. Let's see. Did the pling go? Because now, finally, I've made the Streamlabs do the plings that it's supposed to do, which is really nice because it lets me know when things is happening. Aha! Oh. I knew it. The pling was hiding. And see, those plings were hiding too. Jesus Christ. So it doesn't pling the other ones. Piece of shit! Malware says, what do you think of live-action Zelda? I think it would be an abomination. I would like for it to not happen. Ian says, hey Arch, you should check out Beyond All Reason. It's an RTS game like Supreme Commander. It's not revolutionizing the genre, but definitely worth a try. I will once it's more complete. I know Kibbs has been whinging about that one, so. And Gunfox donates an incredibly generous $100. Jesus, man. That's super generous. Thank you so much. And now I feel really bad because I didn't see it. Like, God damn it. Streamlabs piece of shit. Thank you so much, sir, to say, for you to force Kibbs to watch Demolition Man, just to torture Kibbs for the Torture Kibbs campaign. But he'd enjoy that, though. He would like watching Demolition Man, because Demolition Man is a good movie. Should make him watch something shit instead. Something old and bad. Make him watch, Olsenbanden. Yes. Norwegian movies. That would be fun. He would enjoy watching Norwegian movies from the 70s. That'd be far more funny. But thank you very much, sir. Right, we have run out of topics for today. So I guess we will be wrapping up there. But still, we got some news out of this week as well. Including the burning and looting of various storefronts. I do feel like we need to end off with this meme, though, in recognition of the Rolling Stones. And how the gaming journalists are trying desperately to go back to better times when they could pretend to be a victim with at least a degree of realism to it. But right, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for your super generous donations as well. And I hope to see you all again next week. Or, well, next Tuesday, actually, as we will be streaming more Rogue Trader on Tuesday. There will not be a Barattrauma today because Kyle is a fat, disgusting, lying, traitorous piece of pond scum.
Is that how we talk about me when I'm not around?
No, I talk about you in far worse terms.
Well, that's good then. At least I get to be number one.
Much, much worse. Let's see. Kibbs is streaming, but he is also a traitor. Fine. He's celebrating, I guess. We'll redirect to Kyle today. It hurts my soul to do it, but I will. Until next week, chat, have a good day.